Okay, hello my squirrels. I am on today to do an unboxing of a deck that I looked at probably 3 years ago and keep kind of forgetting about. So I'm literally just unwrapping. It's called the Ship of Fools Tarot. And from what I understand, it's a deck that has a sense of humor, which is very good for me. And it is a deck by an author that has done lots of tarot decks, Brian Williams. He's done the Minciotti Tarot, Renaissance Tarot, Pomo, the Postmodern Tarot, and a couple others, I think, too. I'm trying to remember. But I wanted this deck because many times when we talk about the tarot, you talk about the Fool. And the tarot is supposed to be the journey of the Fool. Ooh, look at that book. So this deck uses that and specifically plays off of that Fool's journey. And it's a whole deck full of fools. Which I thought was an interesting concept, to say the least. So let me tell you, first of all, I have looked over a lot of reviews and stuff, and most of the reviews say make sure you read the book. There's lots and lots of information. Now, this is a book, an entire book. So we'll tell you a whole bunch about the tarot. And let me just read, here's like the introduction. The Fool is understood as a kind of every person, the human personality in its sweetest, simplest, most innocent, most impetuous, most courageous state. Yes, the term will make you cringe, but he, and she, of course, is the inner child. Hey, I'm on a video, thank you. My kitty. An earlier generation also liked the term puer aeternus, eternal child. Although this was also used as a psychological diagnosis for an adult with commitment problems, before we came to understand that we no longer have problems, but instead issues. The Fool's Journey is also the name given to a favorite approach to the tarot, as the trump sequence is seen as a path of lessons, obstacles, and pleasures that the Fool encounters on life's adventure. Almost all of us can identify with the innocence, the fresh start represented by the Fool, and those few people who can't appreciate the Fool probably need his influence the most. So, absolutely. From what I understand now, I will see here, from what I understand, the explanations. First of all, you have to know that this whole deck is kind of patterned after a very famous German book called Das Narrenschiff, or the Ship of Fools. And then I believe that each card, oh, this is cool. So here's the Fool card itself. So each card looks at different ideations of the Fool and talks about the Marseille Fool, the RWS Fool. So it is supposed to be quite an in-depth study of the tarot, this book alone. And you can see it is just a huge, huge book. I really wanted this deck because of the humor. I've heard so many people talk about the humor of this deck. So this book is literally over 200 pages, 207 pages of information in one book. That's pretty good. So and I believe it's out of print, but you can still find it for fairly cheap. You know, if you look on eBay and that kind of thing, which is where I got these, were from eBay. I actually bought 2 decks at the same time. And the other deck, I may not even do an unboxing of it, because it's kind of a deck that I got as a collector. it is not going to be a very good reader, and I know that ahead of time, so we'll see. I hate when they use the plastic that sticks to you. Okay, so here is the cards. Now, these are not the best card stock for sure. It's an older deck. It came out in 2002. So it's really just that shiny plastic, not plastic, it's that shiny cardboard kind of feeling. There's the back of the deck. So it shows the wands, the swords, the cups, and the coins, which I know they call them different things, staves, I think, and stuff like that. But here's the vagabond. So the art style, I kind of like the art style. It's different. It's interesting. So here's the magician, which turns into the mountebank. You can see he has all the tools up here still. The high priestess is the papess. And so the idea is to find the fool in all of these, and you're following the fool's journey. Here's the empress. And the emperor. So the fool, as he encounters all of our characters here he encounters the emperor. And what would the fool's journey look like? What would the fool be asking the emperor? Here he is in front of the Pope, which is the Hierophant card. And he takes his fool's hat off to greet the Pope. This is the lovers. And again, what happens when the fool encounters the lovers? The cart or the chariot. He's riding the horse, or boy, I so want to say it's a donkey, even though you can't see his head. Here is justice. So justice is at 8 instead of 11. So justice and the strength card are switched in this deck, as are many Marseille style decks, even though this is, I believe, now let me see. Yeah, this is an illustrated deck. It's not just a pip deck. Here's the hermit. And how funny, look at the hermit has the little fool ears up back there too. So he meets a fellow fool on his road. Wheel of Fortune. Which is great as they're going around the wheel. Here is Strength, which this is if you have ever tried to ride a donkey or make a donkey do something that it doesn't want to do, you will know that it requires a whole lot of strength, both inner and outer, to make the donkey do what you want. The Hanged Man. And I'm pretty sure he's just kind of falling off the tree. And what happens when the fool meets death? Gets into a conversation with him. He looks kind of worried, right? Temperance. I don't know if you can hear. Hopefully you can't, but we have the Jehovah's Witness people that my aunt meets with all the time downstairs right now. What happens when the fool meets the devil? He falls right into his trap, of course. Where's the Fool in the Tower card? Right in the midst of the tower. The Fool meets the Star. And the Moon. This is great. the Sun. So again, with this kind of deck, it is not a deck that I would take too seriously. I don't know if I would, I might do readings for people who knew the tarot, to kind of, give it a lighter tone sometimes. Here's Judgment. But I probably wouldn't for the everyday client reading. Querent. There's the World. Here we have the Ace of Swords. Looks like a very intellectual discussion there in the Ace of Swords, which is the thinking suit. And here's the Two of Swords. I really enjoy the idea of following the Fool's journey all the way through with the Fool itself. Really tells you more about that way to read. A lot of people read the tarot that way. And so following that all the way through the tarot, that Fool's journey, is a different way to read that many, 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 many people have learned. There's the Five of Swords. Here we have the Six of Swords. Very RWS here with the six. The rough waters on this side. As a matter of fact, the boat is cracking in two. And the smooth waters on the other side. But it almost looks as if the Fool is having a really, really hard time seeing which direction to get to the smooth waters. 7. Very RWS. He is, of course, the Thief. The Eight of Swords. Weighed down with fools traveling. Nine of Swords. What happens when the Fool discovers he's in a nightmare scenario? Almost covers over our head. Let's try to pretend it's not happening. Here is the Ten of Swords. I love this Ten of Swords. It puts us from the other perspective. So here's the Fool, and he's not the one in danger. He's the one giving the danger. Very interesting flip of perspective there. Here's the Page of Swords. And yes, what would the Fool do? Smart, smart guy. Knight of Swords. Love that the horses here end up to be donkeys a lot of the time. Because boy, isn't that just the case. We think we have exactly what we need and we're going in exactly the right direction, and the damn horse won't move, or the donkey is trying to buck you off its back. Here's the Queen of Swords. And the King of Swords. And guess who's sucking up? And here we have staves or wands. Here's the Ace. So that creative spirit, the fire energy, getting some great spirit energy rising up. Here's the Two of Staves. Trying to get the boar into the box. They have an idea. Here's the Three of Staves. Four. There's the 5. Some competition, some challenge. Here's our victory, the 6 of staves, which, you know, our Fool is maybe a little bit over celebrating here. 7 of staves. Eight. 9. Here's the burdensome 10. Very Rider-Waite. The Page. Knight. Queen of Wands. Love her. With all the animals around her. And the King. Here we go with the Ace of Cups. Two. 3. Oh, I like this 4. Look at the 4 of Cups. So here, it's not the spirit hand here is not handing him the cup. It's just raining on his head some of the liquid there, and he has an umbrella in his hand and just cannot notice. Hang on. Okay, so my aunt was working her dogs up. All right, 5 of Cups. Try to shut him up. Here's the 6.